Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We're going to finish up with Venus and Adonis today. We're going to look at stanzas 197 to 199, which is only 3 stanzas because there's only 3 stanzas left to go. It's maybe, well, from a mathematician's standpoint, maybe a little bit irksome that he didn't write just one more stanza to make it an even 200, but hey, whatever, 199 is plenty long for an epic poem. So towards the end of this, Adonis died. He was gored by a boar, and Venus was mourning him and railing at death, and she cursed love and said that love is going to forever, is always going to come with jealousy and come with pain and all of that sort of thing. And then his body dissolves, and where his body was, a purple flower grows, and she picks that flower and some green sap falls out of it, and she imagines that that's his tears. And in stanza 197 she says, "Poor flower," quoth she, "this was thy father's guise, the sweet issue of a more sweet-smelling sire. For every little grief to wet his eyes, to grow unto himself was his desire. And so 'tis thine. But no, it is as good to wither in my breast as in his blood. Here was thy father's bed, here in my breast. Thou art the next of blood, and 'tis thy right. Lo, in this hollow cradle take thy rest. My throbbing heart shall rock thee day and night. There shall be not 1 minute in an hour wherein I will not kiss my sweet love's flower." Thus weary of the world, away she hies, and yokes her silver doves, by whose swift aid their mistress mounted through the empty skies in her light chariot quickly is conveyed, holding their course to Paphos, where their queen means to immure herself and not be seen. And that's the end of the poem. So she wraps it up talking to the flower, saying, you know, beautiful little flower, you were born of this beautiful little man, and it was his right to live within my breast, to live in my heart. So it's your right to live in my breast or in my heart as well. So she takes the flower and she keeps it with her always and says that she will always continue kissing this flower as long as she lives. And then she gets in her chariot that is pulled by doves and she flies away to sort of never be seen again, to sort of hide herself away from the world. And that's the end of the poem. So yeah, I'm curious to know what you all thought. This poem is marketed as a comedy, or at least was marketed as a comedy back then, and I think it's still often categorized as one. And maybe in the same way that Romeo and Juliet is a comedy, you know, like the first half of Romeo and Juliet is funny and silly, and there's even like some slapsticky type stuff in it, but then the end it gets very tragic. And if you want to go with the very basic definition of comedies end in marriage, tragedies end in death, this one ends with a death. It certainly doesn't end with a marriage. So does it really qualify as a comedy if you take a look at it that way? So it's an interesting story, and at points lovely how it's conveyed. I think I enjoyed a lot of the language in it, and a lot of places where Shakespeare used alliteration to help sort of drill home a point. That was fun, and there were some cute little moments like her apologizing to death and saying like, no, I really didn't mean it that way. And if you take out like the sexual coercion element, which might be something that we're putting on to the poem, looking at it through today's lenses, but the flirtation and her pursuit of him at the beginning could be seen as kind of funny. You know, if he's not quite so adamant against it, if he's maybe a little bit more playful with it, like, no, go away, and she keeps trying, and he gets sullen, and she lifts his hat, and all that kind of stuff, I guess you could see how it could be played off as playful and funny, and the stuff of rom-coms that are even being made today. But then it does take this significant dark turn when he wants to go boar hunting, and she's like, I prophesy that you're gonna die. And then he does, and it's gruesome, and then she curses all love for all eternity and goes and hides in a cave. So not really the ending that one would expect from a comedic poem, but hey, it is what it is. And apparently this poem sold very well. It sold a lot better than The Rape of Lucrece did. So of his 2 epic poems, this is maybe the more celebrated of the two. So yeah, that is the end of Shakespeare's poetry, or at least all the bits that we know were written by him. There's 2 more apocryphal poems that we will take a look at. Starting tomorrow, we're going to look at funeral elegy. But yeah, we have now, in Shakesyear, we have now covered everything that Shakespeare wrote that we have a copy of and can take a look at. We're going to take a look at a couple poems that he might have written, and then we will have made it to the absolute end of the canon. So we've got about a month to go of Shakesyear, and 2 more new poem days and 2 more wrap-up days, and then I'm going to have to figure out what's next. So no, don't worry, I have ideas. But anyway, come on back tomorrow for new poem day as we dig into a funeral elegy, which is definitely going to be comedic, right? No, I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.